Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Overwatch Central. Lots of stuff has happened over the last couple of days. Symmetra on the PTR, the endorsement system, looking for group, all of which is in the game at the moment for us to all test out. We have essentially a new hero in Symmetra, the Hammond teases on the PTR with New Horizon, but we haven't actually spoken about some of the changes, nerfs and buffs in the game, but also the fact that XQC has a new team. Now this may not interest a lot of people, but when you find out who he's playing with, it gets very interesting and very controversial very quickly. But I still think there might be positives here. So first and foremost, let's go over the buffs and nerfs that we haven't really spoken about in videos so far. I've had a good amount of time on the PTR, about 6 hours in total, most of which played Symmetra, but I've had a good play of Orisa and Doomfist too. And these are heroes that have got changes. We'll start with Doomfist. His Meteor Strike bonus movement speed has been increased from 150% to 200%. This is basically when you're airborne using your ultimate, trying to decide where you're going to land, I believe. That one honestly doesn't feel too much different. Then you have the best defense, which is the shield gain that you get from normal abilities. As you do damage and such, you gain shield to keep yourself alive, and that's been upped from 30 to 35. Again, it's not a huge buff, but it's a nice little change for Doomfist to make him a little bit stronger. But we all know how devastating a good Doomfist can be even before all of these changes came through. This just makes these players stronger, which isn't inherently a bad thing. Orisa's Supercharger ultimate cost has been reduced by 15%. Now I was watching Evil Toaster for a bit yesterday, and he just pointed out that it makes very little difference overall. He tends to hold on to his ultimate for quite some time, and it can be really awkward to place a Supercharger down anyway, so the problem with Orisa isn't as much her ultimate, but the developer comments say Supercharger wasn't getting enough use, and they have the stats to back that up, so really not a lot of people were using his ultimate. But I don't think the problem with Orisa is her ultimate cost, more so the meta and everything around her. Of course, of the Symmetra rework, we did all of that in another video, covered it, and also the changes on Horizon Lunar Colony. Not to mention, across all of the bug fixes was a very big nerf for Moira, which was fixing a bug that allowed Moira's Biotic Grasp to heal targets behind an enemy barrier. And I think this is more of a thing with Symmetra's ultimate that this has gone into the game. Now Moira can't heal through enemy shields. This was something that she could do before, now she can. I wouldn't say it's the biggest nerf in the world, but it certainly has a negative impact. But again, Moira's a hero that's mired with a lot of problems this current meta. Now let's go over the news that XQC has a new team. It was recently revealed that he is going to be playing for the GOAT squad in Contenders Trials. Now GOATs may ring a bell for you. GOATs were the team that we spoke about in the boosting video, as two of the players, Kaluj and Gator, were banned for a year for doing it. Well, it actually turns out that Kaluj has had his ban removed and now he can play in Contenders. Gator, however, is still banned. It's unsure whether it's still for a year or for something else entirely, but he's going to be going into a coach role. XQC is going to be playing a main tag in that team. We're not 100% sure how long XQC will be part of the squad. It might just be for Contenders Trials and then he'll go a separate way, but he could play in Contenders too if they get on through. And let's face it, they have a really good chance of breaking through into Contenders. What Contenders Trials is it's the 4 best teams from Open Division that have climbed through the open brackets versus the worst 4 teams in NA that have somewhat been relegated. Those 8 teams need to fight for the 4 slots back in Contenders, so it could be the teams that get relegated go straight back up, or all of the teams that came from Open Division can take their spots. And considering that GOATs have actually beaten Fusion University and NRG Esports in the Beat and Pit tournaments, they stand a really good chance of getting into Contenders, and it would be nice to see XQC back in the pro scene to an extent. GOATs do have a reputation in this community to be really toxic. They've been accused, of course, of boosting, which I didn't explain in the last video. It's a paid service that people do to carry people's account to the highest tiers, either by playing the account themselves or, queuing up with them and smurfing to an extent. And they've also been accused of win trading, which is the opposite. Say, for example, player A and player B queue up together. They avoid themselves as teammates to make sure that they end up on opposite teams. They get into the same game on opposite sides, and one of the players throws basically the whole game to make sure that the other team wins, and they basically take this in turns. And it's a surefire way of being able to get into the top ranks for doing it, especially at the higher tier where there's not as many players. It's easier to throw in Overwatch than to carry. And the news that Kaluj and Gator were banned received a lot of comments from the community basically saying good riddance. Whilst I don't like players that are toxic that do, awful stuff like this, I think this is a good thing actually. I think that XQC playing with this squad is a good thing for everybody involved. It may look like an absolute meme, as some would consider Toxic the main guy himself when it comes to Overwatch TMZ basically, will be joining one of the biggest meming teams that have a reputation that is very similar. It looks like it's going to be a complete shitfest, but for me that couldn't be further for the truth. See, XQC's interest in the Overwatch League isn't as much anymore as it used to be. It's more on streaming. He may still want to play competitively, but right now I think it's taken a back seat for him. I of course don't know this for certain. I'm not XQC himself, and maybe XQC's priorities have changed since he left the Dallas Fuel. But I do know that that opinion won't be shared with the rest of his squad. They want to play in the highest tier of Overwatch, they want to play in contenders, they want to be pros at this game, and they're certainly skillful enough to do that. But maybe it is their behaviour letting them down, maybe that's why teams aren't picking them up because of the news that they're in, and everything around them seems like a bad reputation. If that's the case, then XQC has learned how to act in this fashion, and can to an extent mentor these guys in that area. He can almost be a big brother to these players if necessary, but it's easy to write off XQC, and especially the GOATs, of being toxic and not getting anywhere and getting themselves banned. After all of the past drama at least, but I do think that we should give him a chance here on out. So it seems that they're really serious about this, and they certainly have the ability if they can get their heads down. So let's see if they play some good Overwatch and contenders trials, they keep their heads down, and keep their nose out of bad business I suppose, and prove to everybody how they are a team worth supporting and being in contenders, and maybe even in the Overwatch League itself. They're being compared a lot to the old Selfless, players like Nirvana of course, and we know what Sinatra and co went on to do after that. Before we sort of wrap up the video, I did want to give a quick shout out to HyperX, who have been supporting the channel for over a year now. More specifically, I want to shout out the Cloud Flight headset. It's a wireless gaming headset, and honestly it's been a huge quality of life change for me. It means, you know, that I could go to the kitchen or the bathroom with my headset still on and hear the wonderful words "Welcome to Junkertown" in my headset. Oh, what wonderful times. But a big thank you to HyperX for being so supportive overall this time, and I definitely recommend you should check them out if you haven't already. But do let us know what you think of all this, whether you like or dislike XQC or the GOATs team. I'm just saying give them a chance. But thanks for watching, hopefully you enjoyed this video, take care, we'll see you next time.